Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man. How would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Hello, and welcome to the Figure Booth. Here where we talk about the modern day collector and the ups and downs that they go. We go over pre-orders, we share our plastic confessions, and from time to time we do interviews with those in the toy community. I'm your host Josh, aka Prime to the First, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host Nate Dizzle.
Hey guys, this is Nate, aka Figure Fan Nate, and you've reached episode 74, which we're calling The Blueprint.
Laying out the rules, laying out the rule book, opening up the rule book. What would you say? The blueprint. That's very like mysterious. Why the blueprint?
Yeah, the blueprint. Are we building a house?
We're building something.
Building a collection. Building goals.
Building detops because somebody walked into your room and started breaking detops left and right.
Building dials like yourself.
Look at that. Nice.
There you go.
Building shots.
I think, blueprint. Something that I think, you got to start with a foundation. Like you have an idea. Right. How do you want to build that? And usually it starts with some kind of blueprint on, I want this here. I want that there. Yeah. I want this figure, So I think you can apply this idea to a lot of different things. And it's kind of like what we've talked about in prior episodes. Not really like a what's your why, but it's more of like, hey, if you're going to start collecting, or if you're looking at your 2023 goals, maybe creating some kind of blueprint on how you're going to achieve those goals, or what are some things that you want to achieve. You got to do this to do that. You got to build on that. So how are you going to do that? And I think kind of thinking about that from a blueprint perspective can be helpful so you can stay focused. Because without some kind of plan, we tend to impulse buy. We tend to just go all over the place. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, no, and that's, man, you freaking said that. You articulated that very well, because the blueprint, that's what it really tells you. Like, it gives you what's your overall end goal, what it should look like, right? If you have a blueprint for your collection, you know what the end goal is, whether it's displaying all your figures in the background, or having these detops, or having whatever type of displays, whether they're in dials or not. But I really almost could say 100% that all collectors do not want their collections to be in bins. I'm pretty sure 100% of us don't collect for the simple fact of putting a figure in bins or boxes. Like we don't want that. I know I don't want that. And if you're collecting just to put a figure in a bin, then like why is that the case? Probably space, right? So a lot of times it's like, oh, if I only had more space, or if I had a bigger house or an extra room, and those type of things, like some of them we can control and some of them we can't, just given our circumstances or wherever we live at, or where we choose to live at. But tying it back to your collecting, like if you have a blueprint, then you don't have to feel like you're collecting by putting stuff into bins or in boxes just because given your circumstances. Then adjust your blueprint, because I think some of us create blueprints that, like, if I have a blueprint for a mansion size of a collection, but I live in the studio, like I'm only setting myself up for failure. I'm only giving myself these high unrealistic expectations. It's not to say that I'm never going to be able to have that mansion blueprint, but maybe I need to keep a good eye on my collection. And if it starts making my studio feel like I'm living out of a cardboard box, then I probably should scale it back.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Like, make it realistic.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have these lofty goals of, I'm going to have a display like this guy that streams Unparalleled Universe. Yeah. But do you have an extra room that you can have an entire wall of shelves? Does it really make sense? And like you said, people don't want to display boxes.
Yeah.
when you look at streamers, it's not like they're showing off their collection, which is a bunch of boxes or, all these storage bins just stacked up. You want to be able to display it in a certain way. I don't feel like I'm at my goal display. I use this kind of as a dual purpose. This is my office for work, but this is also my toy area. But I don't want one to take over the other. So that's why I try to limit my display. But I don't, this isn't really where I want it to be. So I'm trying to think of how can I make this a better spot. So laying out that blueprint, first thing I need to do, get everything off the walls, get everything out of the room, repaint it. Start it that way. And then kind of build, where do I want shelves, and having some kind of blueprint. I'm not much of a drawer, but my wife can draw. So she'll do a little display in my room. Like, okay, where do you want your shelves at? Where do you want your desk to be? Where do you want this to be? And that really helps me vision, kind of like, okay, this is the end goal vision. This is how I can build that the way that I want. So now what are the various pieces? What are the things I need to do to get it to that end state? Because without that, you can get really lost in it. Even with collecting or toy photography, if you don't have a plan for how you're going to accomplish a shot, you might just throw a figure on the table and you're like, well, now what do I do? What kind of dial do I want? So with me, even with toy photography, I'm like, okay, what dial do I want? What do I want the background to look like? Let me get the pose down. Let me get my lights set up. Like you're thinking in your head, this is how I'm going to plan it out. And then if you can do that, it makes the execution so much easier on yourself. It doesn't feel like such a mystery all the time.
No, and I totally agree, because even as most of us collectors, whether it's action figure related, we collect multiple lines, right? So you want to be able to, I think everyone's goal is, I want to be able to display everything I collect all at once, which is that's the perfect utopia of a collector. And most of us don't just collect action figures, but comic books or art just in itself. And then a lot of us dabble in toy photography. So then even that becomes a collection. What type of camera, lenses, lights, diodes, props, to have that very well balanced, because at the end of the day, balance is not just for figures, but how do you balance your collection and have everything all in one cohesive and centralized area where, and it's going back to our interview with Trevor, he said something that really just resonated with me, and it kind of has been bugging me in a good way, where I'm like, he's right. You don't want to walk into your room and be like, I'm fucking stressed. That right there is a sign you need to change. You need to make a change. And when he said that, I was like, you know what? I feel cool. It's all right. I feel okay in here, but I don't feel relaxed, or I don't feel inspired, or I don't feel motivated. So then why don't I feel motivated? Oh, because I don't have all my figures displayed back here to my choosing, to my definition of displaying action figures. Okay, then I ask myself again, why? Well, why not? Because they're in bins. Well, why? Because I have too much. Well, why? Because I bought too much. Okay, why? Because I have no focus on my collection. Okay, there. Let's get some focus. What is it going to take for me to get some focus on my collection? And the only answer I gave myself was, I need to get rid of all of them. I can't the realistic answer is, I can't display them all, because I can't fit enough detops in this room. And I don't want to display them in the garage or in living room. I don't want my collection to overtake my house. Again, there's different sides to all of us, where there's a side of me where I want nothing to do with action figures, and just enjoy, relax, and sip some whiskey or something. Do anything else, or go outdoors. Look at some travel books and plan my next trip. And in our conversations, you've brought that up, where you said, hey, if it's just action figures and that's the only thing that your world revolves around, you need to just do some reflection, really take. So when Trevor said that, he's like, yeah, you want your room to inspire you. I was like, you know what? Right. I can do something. That is the part where I can control, and I can just clean the slate and start again. But then again, start with the blueprint. What is it going to take for me to make this room inspirational? Is it new art? Is it a new color of paint? Is it being able to have some photography tools and resources and the lights, get those all set up the way I like it? Is it able to have multiple cameras so I can stream better, so I can provide? Because now I'm really I really found towards the end of the year, I was getting more invested into the podcast show and the content that we put out and interacting with our audience. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm taking a step back, or I'm taking a step away from collecting so much, but more in engaging with our audience. And it's not necessarily that I'm getting rid of all my figures and I'm out of the game. I think a lot of that, when those trends that we see within the community, it's like, oh, this person's selling. I got so many comments when I did my one IG lifestyle, but then even I've been selling stuff. They're like, dude, are you out? Like, are you done with collecting? I'm like, nope. There is no way I'd be done because there's so much out there. So yeah, I want this room to be like inspirational, so that way we can keep the content going and we can keep the engagement at a really meaningful level, high level, and at the end of the day, it brings value to both, not only the audience, but then to myself.
Right. Yeah, you touch on a lot of good points there. I think when you walk into your room and it causes you stress, it's easier. Sometimes it can be easy. Just, okay, let me walk around this. Let me do what I got to do, and then I'm going to get out of here.
That's a bad sign.
You want to avoid the room, and that's a bad sign. If your collection room is causing you stress and it's not a place where you want to go to relax, then that's kind of a red flag to me. Like, I got to do something to change this.
For sure.
Because ignoring the problem isn't healthy either. It's going to make it worse. The more you try to put this to the side, I don't want to think about this. I've seen people say that when we talk about building budgets. Oh, you guys are taking the fun out of this. I don't want to do that. I get it. And we're not trying to be Debbie Downers here. It's just more of like, hey, in reality, you can't just keep doing the same thing and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity.
Right.
If you got to change it up if you're unhappy with how things are in your life. And we're not saying that like having a messy collection room is like a failure. It's just more of like, hey, how do you make this so it's more enjoyable for you?
Right. Yeah.
And there's ways that you can do that, whether it's how you store them, or thinking about what you want to do as far as, I want to get this figure, I want this figure. I think companies now are more upfront about what's coming out. There are the surprise drops, but I know, at least if I look at my pre-orders, I know what's coming in.
Right.
So I either want to have an idea for what I'm going to do with that figure, like, okay, this is a toy photography shot that I'm going to do when that comes in, or this is where I'm going to place that figure when it comes in.
Yeah.
So that, like me and Prime talked about behind the scenes, I don't get figures and I've just got stacks of boxes that I haven't even opened stuff. Like, that doesn't feel very fun. And I'm like, why do I keep buying all this stuff?
Yeah.
If it takes me 6 months to get around to opening it, because I've got other things that I'm enjoying.
Right.
So just creating some kind of plan. That's really what a blueprint is some kind of plan. And having a balance, like you talked about.
Yeah. I was going to say, and it's crazy that the idea is a little abstract, and I would say it's almost difficult to bring up in a natural way where you're like, hey, what's the blueprint to your collection? You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But, and it's funny because, we do get, we have our, I don't know, like what we're known for is we talk about this type of stuff, again, to try to like push you in a different zone where it's not just all action figure news, but we kind of want to keep that compass pointed in the right direction. And at the end of the day, I wish I would have had something like this when I was first starting to collect. So that way I could have avoided some of the pitfalls that I did earlier in my collection, because I had nobody else to tell me like, hey, you probably shouldn't be buying all that stuff. Because a lot of it, like, I did have buyer's remorse. And then sometimes I did have seller's remorse because I felt so like, oh, why did I buy this crap? I don't even like, I can't even think of a good example. I'd be like, if all of a sudden I was to have like a huge Hot Wheel collection and then I just sell them all just for like $10, it's like, you just wasted a bunch of your money. And I've had friends that have gone hardcore on like Legends, and they build up and then they just get rid of their whole entire collection because they were just over it. So I wish I would have had something like this earlier in my collecting saga or my collecting journey. But going to the blueprint, like how do we keep this at the forefront? If you think about it, builders use the blueprint. I mean, I think blueprint and builders, and I think too many points of articulation. And he builds.
That's what I was going to say.
He builds with intent, right? He never just slaps foam and materials and just be like, look, a diorama rooftop, and it comes out immaculate. He doesn't just close his eyes and makes it happen. His intentions are to build great diorama pieces. Mario doesn't just, sometimes he probably does just throw paint around and okay, voila, it's something. But there's some type of intent behind that. He knows, like, if I mix this ratio and that ratio, I do this. High School Creations, like, he doesn't just mess around just with his eyes closed. Again, the message is like their intentions are there. They have intent to build something great stuff. They follow their recipe. They follow their process. When we're talking about collecting and buying with intent, it's the same thing. If you have a blueprint and you have a vision of how and what your collection looks like, then you should be buying in that same manner. Like, I want certain key pieces or certain key characters. And I think we've talked about this where, like, certain characters that you like, then buy with that intent. Make sure that it fits within your blueprint. And if it doesn't, and it's okay, we all fall off the path from time to time. The ability to be able to recognize that, or have somebody within your circle to tell you, like, hey, you probably shouldn't buy that, or yeah, just sell it. Because a lot of us check in with each other. Hey, you know what? I'm thinking about doing this. It's good to have a soundboard. It's good to refer back to that blueprint and ask yourself, like, does this go with what I'm trying to build? Whether it's this collection or whether it's my display case, is it a good representation of my collection at this given time? Now, if you're like, you know what, my collection is going in a different direction and I need to change the blueprint, then go back to that blueprint and change it from there, instead of like buying and buying and buying. Because it's like you're trying to fill the void, but you don't know what that void is, and it's a bottomless pit, and you box and box. Like, that's this last year I realized there was stuff that I had bought that I was so pumped up, but because life got so hectic and it's just the day-to-day stuff, busy for the sake of just being busy, and I forget I was a collector. I didn't have enough time to enjoy my hobby. I look and I'm like, I think I still have a BBTS box I haven't even opened. And I opened it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That was my pile of loot. And then I just closed it back up. Didn't even take them out.
You're like, nope, I'll deal with that later.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got to a point where it's like box. And then, like you said, I just peeked my head in here. I'm like, all right, is it good enough so I can stream? Or is there enough room so I can like spin around my chair? Is it good enough so I can write? I would use this room before it got so crazy to come up with ideas and come up with content ideas and come up with like talking point, all that stuff. Again, this would be like my sanctuary away from all the craziness. But when it gets too crazy in here, I'm like, where am I going to find my layer to get all my thoughts together? Like, there is no spot.
Yeah, you got to have a place where you can go to feel relaxed and to have that creative energy. And if it's not the room where you're collecting, which it should be, then that's kind of a problem. You got to do something to change that. And I like what you talked about buying and selling too. The seller's remorse. There's also I should have started. There's buyer's remorse, but then there's also seller's remorse.
Yeah,
and that can happen when you're strapped for cash and you're trying to offload stuff quick. You're like, hey, I got to pay this bill, or I know this thing's coming up. So do I want to sell this stuff? Not really, but I just need money. And then you sell it all. The issue maybe isn't as big as you thought.
Yeah.
So you've got extra cash and you're looking back, you're like, shit, I got rid of some stuff I didn't really want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And now I might have to reacquire it. If you have some kind of blueprint of how you're going to achieve that, let's say you need a new AC unit or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to sell these figures and then do something else to make up the rest of the money. So that way it's not all reliant on just in and out of your collection. Okay, this is how I make money. This is how I don't make money. That type of thing.
Yeah.
And if you can have some kind of blueprint of how you're going to achieve that, it can really help in planning. And I think also with selling in general, and I've seen Prime doing this a lot, and I'm trying to do it myself, is have like a plan of what you want to let go of ahead of time, or have some kind of organization in place of how you're going to, okay, this is what I'm going to sell. This is how I'm going to do it. Do I want to do it in a bundle? Do I want to do individual pricing? What are some of the prices I'm okay with accepting?
Yeah.
So that when you do start selling stuff, you already know what your bottom is or what you're willing to let it go of. So that the haggling, which is always going to happen, is more of a natural thing. Like, hey, well, I've got this listed for 60, but in my mind, I'm willing to let it go for 45. So if it gets to that number, we got a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, going to toy shows like we've talked about, that's something me and Prime are focusing on a bit more. And it's not like, I talk about selling a lot, and it's not because like I'm strapped for cash and I've got issues with money.
Yeah.
It's more of like my blueprint for this year is to not keep adding the collection. But I think that gets misconstrued, like, oh, Nate's selling a bunch of stuff because he's trying to buy other things. Like, sometimes that's true.
Right.
Other times it's just managing the collection.
Yeah.
But if I'm choosing between, spending money on my energy bill or like a figure, then I've got a serious problem. And that
did I eat today?
Right.
Or should I pay for this pre-order?
I remember like a long time ago, you told something about like, I'm debating, should I go get groceries or should I buy this figure?
Oh,
I've heard that before, and I know that's not your situation now, but that kind of stuff can scare the hell out of you.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I was like in my 20s, and I was like, I get these diapers, but then I need to get this 2-pack. Like which one? And I'm like, no, my kid needs diapers. Like I should have been able to just buy both, but like, come on, dude. Like priorities. Get your shit right. Come on.
And there's ways you can do that. It's just proper planning, really, what it comes down to. Like, the spreadsheet that has been going around from toying around. That's a good way to do it. But people look at that, they're like, oh, this looks dumb. I don't want to have to track, when I bought it, what I sold it for. But why not? Like, why don't you want to put visibility on that?
Yeah.
If that scares you, then the thought of that scaring you should also scare you.
Yeah, okay, so that's really interesting, because I think a lot of people could they don't want to take a look at it because they're scared of what they're going to see. It's almost like I mean, trying to get my thoughts off it. It's funny because like I used to work at a bank and dealing with people coming in all the time, and it would surprise me how often people don't know how much is in their account. They just wouldn't. They would come up to my window and they'd be like, yeah, I just want to see how much to have in there because I need to pay for rent or I need to buy groceries. And at first I was like, okay, well, whatever. But then as I started noticing, it was more and more of a trend. I'm like, wait a minute. One, like, yes, we know that there is like inflation and a lot of us do live paycheck to paycheck, but there's like a lot of other people that it's beyond that. It's where like they don't even know how much is coming in or going out. Like they have no sense of their financial fitness or lack of fitness, right? Like they don't know whether they have $1 or $100 or $1 million. Like, and they could be making a lot of money, but they just didn't know. So I would get a lot of people that come in like, yeah, I just want to know how much is, and it would be sometimes like on a daily basis. Like I would see one or two people like, I just saw you yesterday. I told you had like, $500. And then I'm like, you're at 200. They're like, oh, how did that happen? I'm like, what do you like? I don't know. You spent $300 in 24 hours. No. Yeah, that'd be to me the crazy thing where, again, like they're so like there's no pulse check on their spending habits. There's no pulse check on their necessities. Like maybe they needed a spreadsheet to kind of put all that together. And I think that's the same thing that happens in the toy community where it's like you have no idea how much you're spending or how much you want out there, that you're afraid to check and track your purchases. Right. Regardless if you have the money in your account, like that's not really what the issue is. But it's like once we put numbers and figures to it, then that's the shocking part. And if it shocks you, then that means like you didn't have a good sense of grasp on it.
Right. No,
that makes sense. Yeah, hopefully I explained. Yeah, that's what it made me think when you said like, oh, I get scared, I don't want to look at it. I'm like, you know what? It reminded me of how people would come in when I used to work at the bank, and they'd be like, how much do I have? I'm like, you have $10, and they're like, oh, all right. I thought I didn't have anything. I was like, I'd be scared if I only had 10. Like I'd be trembling. Like
I'd be really terrified if I looked at my account and I only had $10 to mess with. I know I don't. Yeah.
I'll take your $2 deposit. Okay, now you have $12, and then they'll come back the next day. How much do I have now? I'm like, $8. I don't know. Like
you spent $4 at McDonald's.
I'm like, I'm so scared for you. I want to help you. I don't know what's going on with your life, but I want to help you.
Yeah, like maybe don't go buy your McDonald's or your Starbucks today because the last time you checked, you only had $20.
Yeah, and a lot of it was that they're like, oh, Starbucks, or
I think we get used to a certain level of comfort.
Okay.
And a lot of us they don't want to have to choose between a figure or a bill, and
just do both.
Yeah, let's just do both. Like my other friends are doing it, I can do it. Sure. But you got to live within your means, and not everybody's the same. We don't all make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
We have different financial situations. Some of us have families. Some of us don't have families. You got to live within your means and make it realistic, because that's going to make you, I think, more comfortable as time goes on. And as we talked about, creating those budgets and having a blueprint, like a spreadsheet, I saw a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to put visibility on that. My partner, my wife, my husband, they're going to freak out if they see that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is an easier conversation? Having a blueprint or an Excel sheet that shows them exactly what you've bought, how much you've spent, this is what's coming in, and then showing that to your partner, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Here's a credit card bill that I can't pay for, and this is how it got that way.
Right.
What's the easier conversation?
That's almost like another topic that I do want to dive into, but then I don't. But it's crazy, like collecting and relationships, because
that's a good
honesty, transparency, like communication, those are crucial. Like if you can't be honest with your partner, and even collecting should be like by far and few, like the least of your worries. And if you can't tell your partner what you collect or how much you spent, you probably have other, like, there has to be other things that are layered on top of that. Right. Yeah. Like I fight crime at night. Okay, that's a little different. But if I can't tell her I'm buying the latest wave, or I just bought something from Ami, like, and I think that's how it starts. Then, you start like this, there's that distance, that imaginary wall. But if you can't talk about your collecting, or if you feel like you're not understood, I think a lot of it too with like communication is, not only do we want to be heard, but we want to be understood. And yeah, it's just collecting can play a very serious role in a relationship. And I think we've all seen it given through social media. Like I've seen a bunch of times where it's like, oh, my partner like we broke up and I'm selling everything, or I have to sell everything because my partner's so upset. But there's more to it. Like he or she is probably not upset with you because of the collecting. It's probably how massive of the collection you let get out of control. Like there has to be something much more deeper than that. It's not just you. And again, if it's that superficial, we, at the end of the day, we all need to be understood, and you should have a partner that understands you. And like, hey, like my wife, she is very into like beauty stuff, and like she likes handbags, but tell me a wife that doesn't like handbags and shoes and purses and makeup, all that stuff. And you're going to find somebody that has some type of hobby or collection. And if I'm not okay with her buying some shoes and handbags here and there, or communicating with me, if I'm just seeing all these boxes show up and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? And I'm sure it'd be vice versa. Like if Entertainment Earth or Mezco box are showing up every day and I'm not telling her, she's like, what the hell? What gives?
Yeah. That exact situation happened to me a couple of years ago, where I'm at home with my wife and a Mezco box shows up, and she's like, what's that? I'm like, it's a Mezco. She's like, okay. And then the next day we're hanging out, and another box shows up, and it's a BBTS pile of loot. And she's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's more figures. And she's like, I don't have a problem with you getting stuff, but I wish you would just at least involve me in the conversation that it is coming.
Oh yeah,
because that'd be an easier conversation for me to have with you, rather than me having to question you. It's like she's not trying to question me. It's just more of like, hey, what is that? Are you planning for it? Hopefully you're not using our savings for that. It's type of thing. But if you can show that you're managing it in a respectful way, I think that gets rid of a lot of those concerns. To Prime's point, if you can show like, hey, yeah, I buy a lot of stuff, but here's my spreadsheet. I'm tracking it. This is all extra money. I'm not using money for our vacation. I'm not using money for our college, our kids' college fund.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as responsible as I can. That sort of makes it an easier conversation, I think.
No, definitely, for sure. It's like, hey, just schedule a PowerPoint presentation with your significant other once a week. Be like, here's the slides. Here's the handout, and we're forecasting a very uptake in purchases next month, because Hasbro said they want 50% more profits. So, honey, I have to buy more.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I'm not saying like, I don't want it to be misconstrued as, hey, Nate's getting permission from his wife. That's not what that is.
Not that. No,
it's involving her in the conversation so she doesn't feel so surprised when things come up. And then that goes both ways, to Prime's point. She wants a new purse or something, or she sees some shoes that she likes.
Yeah.
She'll tell me like, hey, this is something that I would like to get.
Yeah.
Can we work that into the budget somehow? It goes both ways. You got to, you got to be able to trade that. And like we talked about in our supports episode, you got to recognize the people in your life that make your life possible.
Yeah.
And do things to spoil them too. So it doesn't look like it's just a one-way street the entire time.
Yeah. Cause it's not even about permission, or it's as, and for those that haven't been in a serious relationship or know, like, and I mean, like, man, this episode
could be a whole nother topic.
This could be a whole nother topic, but like, there's all sorts. This is all sorts of relationships, right? We have like toxic ones and good, but like a really good, clean relationship involves honest communication. And unless you've really have had honest communication, it's sometimes asking those really tough questions. And a tough question can be like, hey, what's in that box? Or hey, what is that? That something could be very triggering for someone, because they're like, well, what do you mean? What is that? Like, don't worry about it. It's mine. You get super defensive. Yeah. What do you, the person even asking the question could feel like, whoa, what's that? Like, why didn't I know about that? Right off the bat, I'm already thinking something like, like something showed up that I didn't know about. And then the other person's like, wait, why am I being questioned? So already right there, there's like a little bit of just like, there's something, right? But and to your point, like if we're completely open and we're all on the same page, where there is no question, it's not to the point where, and it's very unrealistic to be like, oh yeah, is that your Mesco that we're talking about? Like, she's not gonna remember it's your fucking Mesco. Like, and she will still probably ask you like, hey, what is that? And you can be like, oh yeah, it's, again, there should be no, like, it's not a passive aggressive type of question. And so then therefore there's no trickery or sense of trickery behind the questions and the responses. It's not like, oh, it's a pre-order that I paid for like last year, when that's not the case. Like, sometimes I feel like, and I'm guilty of it too from my past again, where like you give a response, but then you add all this additional detail just to make it seem like, oh, I didn't just use like the credit card or something, like, I paid for it with the money I saved that, and then you're like, then I had to sell Girl Scout cookies, and it's like, wait, when did you start selling Girl Scout? Like, you start going all over the place. And at the end of the day, you're like, well, I just fed her like this crazy ass lie, and all she was asking was for the box, and she probably doesn't even care. Like,
Yeah, man, you bring up such a good point. You know how you tell if someone's lying to you? If they give you too much detail.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody a question, they're like, oh, it's just what this, it's this.
It's either too much detail or like a one-word response, like, oh, it's nothing. Well, if it was nothing, there would be no box in your hand.
Exactly. Yeah. So
come on.
Yeah, you think you're being clever, but you're really not. It just makes it look a lot more suspicious. Like, why are you telling me so much stuff? Like, I only asked you about the figure. Oh, my friend had it, and we did a trade, and I saved $20, and it's just like, well, now you're making me concerned because you can't even give me a straight answer.
Yeah.
And that might, the more we talk about it, I'm like, okay, maybe we should just make this its own separate episode.
Yeah, we will.
But going kind of circling back, the blueprint balance is for more than just your figures.
Yeah.
Figures balance. You need to have a balanced life. You need to have a balanced collection. So have a blueprint for how you want to collect. It's once you get it done, once you get it started, it's easy to manage, and it's going to help you. It's not going to be something that's like a negative thing. I don't know why people say like, oh, it's negative. I don't want to call attention to that. That's
feels
scary
like homework.
To me.
It feels like homework.
Yeah.
Nobody likes homework.
And when you want to sell stuff, look at those trends within the community. You can even start marking it down. When do I see a lot of people sell? Okay, I'm not going to sell around that time because the market's saturated. Let me sell at times where I know people are getting tax returns. Like, okay, March, February is rolling around. People are going to have extra money. That's probably a better time to sell. You get better prices. So that way you're not thinking like, me and you have seen a lot of people selling around November, December, because people are so strapped for cash. And the holidays are around the corner, and we all want to give our families a good holiday. But if you're selling what everybody else is selling, that's market saturation. It's economics, supply versus demand. The more supply you have, the less demand there's going to be, the less the price. But it's just, you got to think about stuff like that and start tracking it so that you can help yourself down the road. And also when you're collecting, have a blueprint of what you're getting in and what you want. So you see a pre-order, this is something that I want, so that I'm planning for it. I got money set aside, and it helps eliminate impulse buying. When you know that, okay, I see this McFarlane DC, but I don't have any McFarlane DC. It's cool, but it doesn't really fit with anything that I've got. So maybe I'll just not get that because my plan for this year is not to build out a new DC team.
Yeah.
It's to, build out my Mythic Legions or whatever. Yeah. Whatever it is, whatever you guys are collecting, that kind of thing. But great topic, man. I hope that helped you guys. As you guys are hitting the like button for the episode, make sure you're leaving a comment down below and letting us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a different method? Have you had a situation like we're talking about where you got in a clash with your partner? Let us know.
Did the blueprint help?
Does the blueprint help or not? To Prime's earlier point, 78 points uses blueprints, and that guy's killing it.
He's killing it.
It helps him, so I'm sure it's going to help.
We should have named this episode "Too Many Points."
Too many points.
Homage to 78 points of articulation.
I mean, we already involved him too much into this.
Yeah, he's going to be providing commentary on this left and right. So thank you in advance, and I
expect
appreciate
at least 7 or 8 comments on this one.
Times 4. So
times 4. But and as you guys are leaving a comment, hitting that like button, make sure you subscribe to the Figure Booth. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live. And if you haven't been paying attention to our new episodes, we've done 2 really great interviews. Our last interview was with Dork Lair. Bill,
I missed out.
We didn't have Prime.
I blame the storm. I had no internet for like 2.5 days.
And you're going through. I was like, I hope Prime's even okay after all of this.
So freaking windy, dude.
A lot of people's houses were flooding in California. I get it.
Crazy.
And that's like,
I was literally getting ready to. It's like any moment now, I'm gonna see like some lady on her bike and just like, I'll get you yet, my pretty you and that dog. And I just grabbed my dog. I'm like, come on, we gotta hide. It was so freaking windy. I was like, oh my god.
And it was fun. We had a one-on-one combo with Bill. I really got to dig into the details with him. And I think even though I'd always rather have you there, I'm more willing to probably do that in the future if it comes up.
Oh, well, that's it. I'm out of here. No.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah, no, I was. Oh man, I'm glad that it worked out really well. So, you killed it. You handled it. You handled it very well by yourself.
Well, thanks, man. It was Bill made it easy. He can talk. That guy knows a lot of stuff. If you haven't checked out his channel, please go check him out because he's just a great guy in general. Lots of info. Also, if you missed it, me and Prime went live this last week with Customs by Machu on his Whip Wednesday live. Had a really great time with Matt, talking cereal, talking customizing. He asked us a bunch of questions about the Figure Booth. So if you guys missed that, go check out Matt's channel. We had a really good time with him. It was a lot of fun. But going into some of our other topics, we'll discuss pre-orders. It's been a while since we discussed pre-orders because we've had a couple of interviews, but I do want to talk about it seems like it's getting a lot of heat right now, but the new Marvel Legends Gamerverse Spider-Man. What do you think about this new Spidey?
Where to begin?
What can we say that hasn't already been said in some Discord?
The accessories, well, it's a tough call because the pricing is kind of like, okay. This is a trend within just prices across the board. The figure, taking the price away, the figure is amazing. I love that suit. I have the GameStop version, but obviously this is like the new and improved buck. Has the additional articulation. I'm not happy about the price. And going back to the blueprint idea, I'm like this. I love it. I'm not gonna get it because I have a criteria or expectation for how much I'm willing to pay for Legends, and that is outside of my
that's how your
spectrum.
Wheelhouse.
It's like, okay, you're out of my budget because especially for what I'm getting, I don't see the value in that.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to it. Yeah,
right. We knew prices were going to increase.
Yeah,
everybody always focuses on that. Oh, we want to make 50% more profit.
Yeah.
Every company wants to make more profit.
Right.
Now, they probably chose a horrible time in a horrible. You shouldn't be posting that on Twitter. That's just something that come up on like a shareholders call. Like, hey, we're going to increase profits by 50%.
Yeah.
Because when you throw that on Twitter without some additional context, people are like, well, what do you mean? You're just going to price gouge me until you get that 50%? I don't think that's what they were intending for that message to be displayed as. But this is the reality of kind of the new Legends pricing. $35 for a Spider-Man. If you really like Legends, that might not sway you. But if you're kind of on the fence, like, I don't know, Legends versus a Mafex versus an SHF, not that difference in price. It's getting a lot closer. And I agree. I think for the price, you should get more accessories, at least in my opinion. But, to each their own. I just think the cost of materials right now is extremely expensive to create action figures, all that kind of stuff. Some companies have been limiting those price increases, like Mafex. We haven't seen that really go up in price. Mezco's been very consistent with pricing. Legends, I think, for the amount that they do, that's probably why you're seeing these price increases hit a little bit faster, because they produce millions and millions of figures every single month. So it's more of a direct need. But yeah, I'm not trying to get into I don't work for Hasbro. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of reasons as to the why.
Yeah.
But this might sway people to get out of the line, and we're already seeing people dump their collections. Like, I don't want to get into Legends anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Other new stuff. Mezco Doc Nocturnal Static 6 statue. This is really cool. I just don't collect statues.
Yeah. If I was a statue collector.
Yeah, it's 15 inches tall, so it's a pretty big statue. I wish they would actually make head sculpts that look like this for Doc Nock, because this looks badass. I really like the way that this came out. The whole display piece.
It's almost unfortunate, because that statue looks so kick-ass, and then I see my Doc Nock, and it's like nowhere near. I'm like, that would be a badass Mezco. Like, that's Doc Nock.
Yes.
I look at mine, I'm like, oh, this guy looks like some kid dressed up as Doc Nock now. Like, his little goofy boots.
He's so short.
Yeah, he's so tiny. He's goofy boots. I like those Punisher style boots. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It would be cool to see an updated 112 of Doc Nock that looks like this.
That kind of killed my Doc Nock vibe for me.
Yeah, and the Infernal Beast, which they call in this, they showed this guy in the Doc Nock comic a while ago, or wasn't the stop motion maybe.
I was gonna say, wasn't he in the stop motion one too?
Yeah, where he's. Doc Nock basically unloads into his face and kills him. This would be a cool 112 too. Now, do I want it on the King Kong body? Not really, because that body's
you're gonna get a flocked.
Yeah, if it's a Mosquatch, you can just keep
it's a Mosquatch.
I don't want that. Yeah, but if we can get a new articulated King Kong type body, that would be sweet for that. But yeah, at $225, I think this is pretty competitive for a statue price. I know that's what their Conan was listed at.
Yeah.
I know Bill Dorklayer, he really enjoyed that Conan. So you're getting a good quality piece. It's just not something for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Another Mezco pre-order that we haven't had to talk about is the Death Adder from Rumble Society. Hazard Squad, Commander Squad, whatever the hell you want to call it. This is the Death Adder that they teased a long time ago. Basically, like a version of Snake Eyes.
But literal.
A literal version.
Yeah.
I kind of like this more than the Snake Eyes personally. I mean, I know Snake Eyes is cool and all, but I can go to G.I. Joe Classified for that.
Yeah.
I like how this really cool. Is unique. Yeah. And Hatcher Squad Gomez was one of my favorite Gomez's. So
yeah, mine too.
I actually did jump on the Death Adder. I haven't pre-ordered a new Mezco in a while, but I did get this one.
The boots,
I think,
are those the old, like, is that it's not like a new boot on him, right? It's a one that they've used previous.
I think so. You know what? I haven't even looked. Yeah. Kind of looks like it. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. I didn't. I'm like really trying to. It was hard. I will tell you, so hard not to pick them up. But I was like, nope. I'm like, they have too much. Oh, see right there. Okay, those boots.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's hard to tell if those are new or not. They look. I know what you're saying. They look kind of like Stealth Ops Gomez boots.
Yeah, and I wasn't crazy about those ones because the swivel on the ankle weren't that great. But from some of the pictures, it looks like they've made it better. So now I'm intrigued. I didn't pay attention to that the first time.
I think White Skull Agent has similar feet to this, right? See, he wears boots. Oh, he's got him right there. Look at that flex. Oh yeah, White Skull. I got him right here.
Yeah, right here.
$400 Mezco sitting in his hand.
Yeah, but
do those look the same?
Yeah,
they're pretty close.
They're pretty close, but the ankle rotation isn't the greatest. That's
yeah, that's a good point. As Mario would say, what them ankles do.
Yeah, what them ankles do, and these ones don't do much. That's why I'm a huge fan of like black on black stealth colors. I picked up the Gomez Stealth Ops, the Krieg, or Baron, the one that you got from the competition. I'm getting all my names mixed up. That one, Baron Benz,
Hawk P40.
No, not Hawk P40. Remember the one that you won the contest, and it was like before they released the blue version of Baron Benz. It was like the black stealth.
Yeah, Tectonic.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that one I picked up because again, it was like the glossy black and the matte black, so that's why this Death Adder, I'm like, oh, I like his color scheme. It's very stealth, but I was like, nope. I have way too many Mezco pre-orders with them and other people where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just holding off.
Yeah,
no more rubber sighted for me for a while.
No, yeah, I definitely went back and forth, and I ultimately just ended up getting it. Now I think he popped up on BBTS, so even if you were curious, you could probably still get him.
And he was out there for a while too.
He was. I think he was up for like a full 24 hours before he went.
I want to wait. I want to get rid of a bunch of stuff before I jump back into Mezco.
Yeah. But that was the 112-day release. There's other stuff out there. SHF Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales. This sold out really quick on import sites, but it's up on BBTS right now. I really like the way this looks.
It does. Yeah, I like it too.
The material kind of reminds me of a golf ball, though. It's a little too much, you know? It's like maybe just scale back a little bit on the material.
Plus, I like my Sentinel one.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for the Sentinel version. That's me too. Then you got Spider-Man, which gives us a view of how she's going to look. It's kind of interesting how they made her sleeves instead of all the way. Now it's more of like a glove sort of thing. You know, the pink. So it's more of like a kind of like a modernization of some of those figures.
I'm so pumped
in the movie.
Yeah,
I can't wait for this movie. It looks really good. And then we can expect we're going to see a Spider-Man 2099 probably coming from Sentinel.
Come on.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
See, I got to get rid of all these other figures so I can make room for some new Sentinel stuff.
Yeah. A lot of we'll probably talk more pre-orders in our Monday motivation, but yeah, that's just some of the stuff that I was like, oh, this is cool. All right, Plastic Confessions Prime. What do you got?
Oh snap! I forgot.
Tokens.
It's token time because stuff's sitting in my private warehouse and I haven't shipped anything. So, the only thing I did get was the Vigilante. I haven't opened it.
Victorian Vigilante. There you go. No token.
No token. Whoa, came through. It's sitting right here, and that's why I brought it up.
Mine has had I've had a label created on mine since the 6th of January with no movement at all.
There we go. I haven't even taken this out.
Those are those new Mezzet.
We'll see. Maybe Monday, tomorrow, you guys can join and we'll open it up. And then boom, it's right here. Vigilante.
I cannot wait for the Gotham by Gaslight Batman.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, I also only got one thing, and it was from Prime when he did his figure sale on Instagram. Actually missed the sale, and I DM'd him. I said, "Hey, is Man-Thing still available?" I think it was pending at the time, and then maybe somebody backed down on it. But I did get Man-Thing from Prime. He's pretty dope. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those figures that like I don't have a lot of history with Man-Thing.
Yeah.
After seeing Werewolf by Night, though, I had like a whole new appreciation for him as a character. So
damn it, I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna want it back.
Yeah, he's one of those. Kevin's gonna like this. He's a BAF that I did not get, and you know I don't collect a lot of legends, so for me to get Build figures, or BAFs. So for Prime to be selling, you know, complete BAFs, I was like, all right, well, here's my opportunity. If I want him, I'll grab him. And he just Prime's prices, you can't beat him. So yeah, thank you for that, my friend.
Yeah, for sure.
Nasty Nate's dirty trick. Now, this is not a Nasty Nate dirty trick, so I don't want to take credit for this. For anybody listening, to be clear, this is not my thing. It's something I've actually learned from seeing Work More or Less posted recently. A really awesome shot of Last Run with his family behind him, kind of like a sort of like a spiritual looking thing. He used the Pepper's ghost trick.
Oh,
if you're not familiar with that, it's actually a well-known photography trick, which is sort of like an optical illusion. It involves placing like a large piece of glass at an angle between your subject and some other subjects. So it makes it look like something is either behind them or sitting in the room, or maybe like ghost-like.
Yeah.
And you use two different, use a glass panel to do that. So if you missed it, Work More or Less, Jason Yang actually posted a in-depth tutorial of how you do it, which is awesome. I mean,
yeah,
a guy at his level, sometimes you'll see some shots in the community and you're like, what the hell? How did they even do that? This is the shot that I'm talking about. And the Pepper's ghost technique is his family back here.
Yeah.
Now those figures are not even behind the figure. You can see here, they're actually in front of the camera facing a glass pane. So it's the reflection that you're looking at. And it's just such a clever technique. You can see Jason there kind of setting them up.
He's heavily concentrated in that picture.
He is.
He's focused. He's using the force, or he's channeling something. Like, man, I could put a 2x4 in front of him. He can just crack it.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, you can put him in commercials. Like he's got the look down.
Yeah,
seriously. But then he also provides a video of breaking into how to do it. You guys probably can't hear this, but this is really just showing you step by step how you can do it yourself.
It can't get any easier.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of knowledge, to Prime's point earlier about having a podcast out there that's giving you tips. Yeah. This is the kind of stuff I wish was available when I had started toy photography, because there's a lot that I didn't know and I'm still learning. And this is one of those techniques I'd never tried, I didn't know about. But seeing this makes me more willing to try it. So yeah, go check out Work More or Less's page, Jason Yang. Give him, let him know the Figure Booth sent you on learning that. But there's already people in the community that are taking it and running, which brings us right into our next topic, the Figure Aficionado.
Nice.
Let me stop sharing here. For anybody that's not familiar with the Figure Aficionado is, it's just me and Prime recognizing people in the community that are doing some awesome toy photography or customizing or dial building.
Yeah.
Or just something in general where you're contributing to the community, and we want to recognize you. So if you guys that are listening have a friend or have somebody that you follow that you think deserves a bit more attention, or maybe they already have a big following, but you just want to recognize them, let us know. DM us. We've had some suggestions before. Those are really helpful. We don't want it just to be me and Prime picking them every single week. We'd like you guys in the community to tell us. So as you're hitting the like button on the episode, leave a comment. Who's a Figure Aficionado that you think needs to be recognized? Because we would be happy to show them in a future episode. But kind of following the same theme of what we're talking about with that dirty trick is a photographer in the community that used it in some pretty creative ways. And this is a guy that I think I've seen his work before. Maybe I wasn't following him, but after seeing some of his recent photos, I'm like, damn, this is really creative. He's got about 9,000 followers, but Alan Rapa is who I'm talking about. He's a toy photographer, practical effects, goofy mashups. He's part of the toyphotographers.com team. And he does some really amazing toy photography. One of them in general, which I saw, was this Mass Effect style pic. And he created, this, you're like, how did he do that? He's using the Pepper's Ghost trick. So you can see he set up his cell phone at the bottom of this piece of glass, which made it look like that virtual display that this figure is interacting with in the shot. This is the end result, but it's, this is how he did it. It just blows my mind seeing something like, man, there's some really talented people out there in the community. Another one that he just did recently, let me make sure we like this. Another one that he did recently in the community was this shot. And when I first looked at him, I'm like, damn, this guy has a huge army build.
Yeah.
Like, that is a lot of Death Troopers.
Yeah.
But he's also using some form of the Pepper's Ghost trick. So here's the BTS. Kind of insane.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. He 3D printed these two little figure. I don't know what those are. I don't know what the best way is to call that. But then he created like a double mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it like, look how that's just crazy.
Yeah. It's simple, right? It's really simple. Yeah. But the result is like amazing. It looks like he has really literally simple. A hallway full of Death Troopers, but it's not even a hallway. It's just two Death Troopers and this 3D printed chamber. But again, just putting simple pieces together created like this fantastic shot.
Yeah, such a clever idea.
A mirror and the glass. That's crazy.
Yeah, mirror, plexiglass, and then you create like this infinite hallway of Death Troopers that works so good for a shot like this.
And I mean, the shot tells you everything. There's emotion behind that shot. You're like, oh, there's going to be some damage here.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cinematic. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, shout out to you, Alan Rapa. If hopefully I said your name right. If I didn't, let me know. But if you guys aren't following him, go check him out. I expect that we're going to see some more really creative ideas from him using some of the techniques he's learned. And, he's also been doing some great shots before that, too. I love this one of Buzz Lightyear accepting an award. Mm-hmm. I'd like to thank Star Command. Very creative. I love people that are just using their brains to create different shots. So, yeah, go follow him. Go check him out. You'll be glad that you did. Shout out to you, Alan Rapa. And that brings us to the end of another episode.
We made it. You guys made it.
We got
everyone stuck around, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully you guys made it this far.
And if you did, thank you for sticking with us. Let us know your thoughts. What did you like? What resonated? What didn't? We always love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, hit that like button. Leave a comment. Mm-hmm. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Figure Booth. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live. If you want to get in on the deluxe style from Prime, I think that's still open, right?
It's done. I'm actually getting ready to start shipping them. Hopefully in the next week or so. Yeah. So be on the lookout for the next one. Hopefully I get to reveal it in like the first week or two, probably the second week of February. Yeah. Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. And then if you want an arcade from Prime, go to prime-arcade.com and you can get one. He's got tons of them that are available. I think he keeps some in stock at all times. So if you guys want one, you can order from there. But Prime, where can they find you?
And you guys can keep up with me all under Prime to the First on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. What about you?
You guys can find me at figurefan_Nate at Instagram, Vero, and Facebook. I think I'm on Twitter, but I just never use it. So maybe I should revamp my Twitter account. But thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
Till next time.